join live. So if you haven't watched it already, this is the video to watch. It's called Big DTravel Changes Will Cause TRVL to Explode in Price. Please watch this video, 30 minutes, not long. Only 66 views. If you watch it, make sure you like it. And if you want to share it, it's a really important video. Okay. Basically, I go over the reasons why I think TRVL is going to have a real nice uplift. I talk about the technicals, talk about the fundamentals, right? And so effectively what we're looking at in TRVL are fib time pivots, and the last fib time pivot was on the 3rd week of April, and we had a really nice reaction. And the next time pivot, we're looking at the 3rd week of July, and we're coming close. There's no reason why we can't go up before that pivot. Yeah, there's no reason why. There's no reason why we can't go up now. Yeah, time pivots are areas. They're not exact specific moments. They're areas of time. And then we have a really major time pivot at the end of December. So, and that's a big one. And so really what I'm thinking to myself is we bottom here. Excuse me. Somewhere between now and the next couple of weeks. And then I'm thinking for a nice uptick, uplift all the way through to the end of December. That's what I'm thinking. Now, the chart looks miserable. It looks terrible. It looks unbelievably bearish. Okay. But look at the 6-month candle, which is closed at the end of June. It's closed really strongly with a flat bottom here. Okay. With a really minor, really small wick. I'm looking at the MXC chart. Look at that. Really small wick. Okay, let's have a look at the volume quickly. Quite high volume. So to be honest with you, I do expect this whole candle to be reversed. Just this candle. I do expect that. I do expect this candle to be reversed in some kind of meaningful way. Now, I'm not really expecting what happened here where you had this kind of drop and continuation. I am expecting some kind of reversal here. I do think that the price could go all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, right back to the top, which would take us all the way up back to 4.5 cents. Yeah. Now, I think that's in my imagination, along with the rest of crypto, that's the highest probability outcome in this chart, which is a healthy 700% increase in price from where it currently is. That's really what I'm imagining. Yeah. And I don't know how it's going to end on the yearly candle, because when you look at the yearly candle, again, it's looking quite depressing. Could we get a yearly candle with the price closing back into the range like that with a nice wick? I think that's possible. And if that does happen, yeah, then we've potentially, we're creating some kind of really higher time frame structure where we could actually explode out of these lows on the highest time frame in the future. Okay, so right now we're in kind of mid-year. We've got this 6 monthly candle that's been printed. See that? And so in the same way we had this kind of flat bottom here, I am imagining we get something similar here, and it could even go all the way up, right back up to test those highs. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now, to go right back up to test this green wick. And depending on how crazy the market is at the time, I think it's very possible that we go all the way up to fill those wicks, you know, just to go and test those highs one more time. Once that happens, we're back into the range. Yeah. Now my target is the end of December. Okay. So a lot of people are thinking to themselves, yeah, crypto's over by September. I don't think the charts are telling me that. The fib time on this is telling me end of December. So fib time on this has been quite accurate. So I'm kind of inclined to just go with it. Yeah, I'm not really bothered what anyone else is saying. If I use this pivot, so let's just say that pivot was a bit premature and we use this pivot. Yeah, we're coming into the 618 by next week. So you see we've got a major pivot coming in here just based on these two pivots. We have the 618 and the 1 to 2 at roughly the same time. So somewhere between next week and the week after. Okay. Then based on that, the 1st of September is another pivot. So we can get a pullback on the 1st of September. And then we're looking at somewhere between November, end of November through to December. There's a few kind of ways to do this, but I'm just basically looking at these original fib times. You can see the volume is really important here. Look at that volume. You had such a large amount of volume at these lows. It's kind of what you want to see. You want to see quite good volume at the lows, and we're starting to see that. Now, in the same way that you're looking at this and you're going, wow, lots of people selling. Don't forget, people selling equates to people buying. Yeah. It's not just people selling, people are buying, people selling, people buying. So the fact that we've had so much volume here, how much volume have we had on MEXC here over those 2 months? I'll tell you, 128 million tokens, 157 million. If I go to the combined chart, which is this one, between all the various exchanges, minus the one on base, so that's the only one that's missing. And I go back to the volume again. We've had like 600 million, 400 million, 200 million. This green candle was nearly 400 million, 400 million. There's a lot of volume in these lows, a lot of volume. Okay, look at that 3-month candle. We had 1.36 billion volume tokens. That's more volume. That's more volume than we had when the price collapsed back in the end of the last bull market. Yeah, so we're getting volume here. So this is what you want to see. What you want to see at the lows is volume. We're seeing it. We're starting to see volume. Okay, look at that 6-month candle. Look at the volume there. That's 2 billion in volume. So there's a lot of TRVLs being traded. Yeah, and that's a good sign. That's kind of what you want to see. You want to see volume. And so we are starting to see volume. Now you could argue, well, that's bearish volume, and it is. Yeah, it is. To be fair, it is bearish volume, increasing volume, decreasing prices. But at the same time, it doesn't mean we don't go up to test. Yeah, we don't go. It doesn't mean we don't go up to test. So I am expecting another push up, and I think probably the push up will be to go and kind of retest these highs, retest the value area high again. It's kind of what I'm expecting for the next few months. And so for a lot of people who are trapped, you know, I think there's some good news. It's got a large part to do with the changes that are coming. Sorry, not the changes that are coming, the bull market, you know, but also I think there's a lot of changes coming to DTravel. And I kind of talked about them in the video that I was talking about a couple of days ago. And so the most important thing you can do right now is go and watch that video. Okay, go to my channel, have a look at that video, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, with these changes, there's going to be a lot of future discussions where we have the potential to take DTravel and make it big. Yeah, and this is what I've been talking about as well. Behind the scenes, I've been talking about some ideas of how to do that. I've got some really crazy ideas, but let's not talk about those ideas just now. The other thing that I'm looking at in this chart is something else, and so I just wanted to share that with you. So again, I'm looking at this kind of combined chart. Actually, let me go to the MEXC chart. The reason why I use MEXC is because it has the original launch. Bizarrely, I'm looking at some kind of corrective pattern like this. Bizarrely. So it's almost there was no impulse, and then we just went straight into a correction. Yeah, from the launch, you went straight into like an ABC. It's really weird, huh? Let's just say you had the launch, you went into this corrective pattern. Let me kind of show you. Let's say there's a 5-wave corrective there. It looks like a 5-wave corrective, like an A, B, C, D, E. Let me go to the weekly time frame. Let me just hide that fib time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have like a ABC, and now you have another A, B, C. See that? In my mind, that's a WXY. There's your W, there's your X, and there's your Y. Okay. So even though we didn't have an impulse, we have had a correction. We've had a really strong correction. And I think we're at the bottom. I really do. I think that's kind of it. Based on these pivots, if I do some kind of time pivots, just based on these pivots. RH is asking me a question. No, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to do that after this. See, look. So you see the 618 came to that local top there, and look at where we are. Look, like I said, the third one, the end of April was the pivot there, and the next pivot, which is the 1.618 on this, is the end of December. See that? So just based on that, I am thinking that this correction is over. I'm really thinking that. I'm thinking that that's it. It's like a WXY. You've had your waves. You've had your 5 waves down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have this kind of ABC correction like that. It's like a flat. And then you have this kind of zigzag all the way down. And this is quite an interesting one because it goes down 2x the distance. Yeah. So when you do a fib extension like that, it's not even 2x. See, it pushes 2 would be all the way down to there, all the way down to these low numbers. It comes down almost a tad above the 1.618. Yeah, so we're kind of in the right area at the right time to form a bottom. And so confirmation for me right now, just looking at the charts, I think what I want to see is this, and I'm just going to tell you. Okay, obviously I want to see impulsive moves and market structure change. Okay. And so that's really important. Market structure change is really important. Right now in the weekly time frame, we've put in a higher high. That was your lower high. This is your lower low. This is your higher high. We've put in a higher high on the weekly time frame. So the minute the price is able to take out that high on the weekly time frame, then we're looking at a weekly market structure change where you're now putting in higher lows and higher highs. Okay. That's really important. Once you get a weekly market structure change like that, you're expecting the price to go up higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, kind of like that. That's kind of what you're expecting, because that's the structure. The structure is higher, higher, higher. So what happens is that people buy, they sell, then they buy back in slightly higher, they sell slightly higher, and we haven't really had that in a meaningful way. This could be a turning point if the price of TRVL can get above a shade above 1.19 cents, then we're looking at a weekly market structure, assuming we don't take out the low. And that's going to be a big deal because we've never really had that. Like, we have had weekly bullish structure, but it's been very messy. It's been very messy, and it's been very kind of like short-lived. Whereas now I think maybe we can have more of a kind of a much more kind of prolonged structure, which takes us to higher prices. So that's the first thing I'll be looking for, is a weekly market structure change. The second thing I'll be looking for is a reclaiming a range, the reclamation of a range. So this is the MEXC chart, but basically what you want to do is you want a nice close back into this range. That's going to be back into, effectively back above 2 cents. If we can get the price of TRVL back into this range, that will be, for me, that will be a sign of strength. So this first sign of strength would be a market structure change. The second sign of strength would be for the price to get back into this range. That'll be a sign of strength. Once you start seeing signs of strength, it's all buying. It's not selling anymore. In the same way that when you saw weakness, it was selling, you're going to see people buying. People buy strength and they sell weakness. And so what we're looking for is strength, getting back into that. So this is going to be a real test to get back into the range, to get back above 2 cents. It's going to be a real test. It is possible we go up, we reject, we come back down, put in a higher low, have another attempt, you know, like I don't know about the timings, but it is possible, and it wouldn't necessarily be wrong for the price to go up, to try and get in, to get rejected, to try and get in and just consolidate, to break up. That would be doable, to kind of consolidate, to break up. Once that happens, you're back into the range. The price naturally should go right to the top of the range, and that will take us right back up to a shade over 5 cents, maybe 5.5 cents to test 5.5 cents. And it's kind of what I'm looking for. Also, I'll be looking for the waves. I'll be looking for the Elliott waves. And so I'm kind of keeping an eye on the waves, because we are potentially at the lows right now. Actually, we are at the lows, yeah. Because we've had one kind of move already here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see that? So this, if we can hold a higher low here, if we don't invalidate this first wave, we don't make a lower low, we put in a higher low here, then we could be looking at the next wave to be the big wave 3, which means that the top of this will be a support line, and then we'll be looking at potentially we'll be looking for the next move to go up like that. For that will be your first wave complete, for another pullback for the wave 3, which would be the big wave. And so this is kind of what I'll be looking for: the wave 1 to complete, followed by a corrective move for the wave 3, which would be the big 3, and then obviously a little kind of wave 5 at the end. So I think we're kind of in the right territory now for the best buy on this token. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now when it comes to the price action on TRVL. Now, you could also look at TRVL BTC. It looks miserable as hell, doesn't it? It looks terrible. But you know what? Deep corrections like this can be reversed very quickly, especially in the right circumstances. You had such a massive sell-off. When this actually starts to pump, I wouldn't be surprised if we just do that, honestly. We just reverse it really quickly. I wouldn't be surprised. Against BTC, that would be maybe 1,000, maybe more % increase in value. So just bear that in mind. Yeah, hope is not lost. Like, yeah, all the way up to the golden pocket, that would be my target. Right back up to that mini range that we lost before the price collapsed. That's kind of what I'm thinking when it comes against TRVL against B. Again, that would be really nice, because we lost this historic downtrend. You see this downtrend? We lost it. So we lost the line underneath it. If we can get back in, then that's a good sign. If you can get back into lost levels or lost lines, that's a good sign. Even if you do reject in the future, you may go down, test it again, form some kind of structure, until in the future we can break out to the upside. So these kind of like anomalies where the price collapses, it's quite scary, but it's not scary when the project doesn't collapse. Yeah. So in this kind of circumstance, you think, oh my God, the project is going to zero. And I think maybe in the future, people will realize how close the project did come to collapsing. But the fact that it hasn't, and it isn't, the fact that I'm back, the fact that I'm talking about positive changes, leadership changes, DAO changes, there's a lot of other changes that are coming, which I've heard about, rumors, which I haven't talked about, tells me that actually, I think we're good. I think we've got through the hardest, or almost the hardest part of the troubles that DTravel faced. And the chart is actually, just based on what I said before, it's kind of looking like a WXY corrective at the moment for me. And so I'd be interested to see what the next move is. Now, I've spoken to certain people from DTravel, and they're talking about a motherfucking great marketing campaign to beat all marketing campaigns in the next 6 months. So they're hungry, okay? Which makes me hungry. Even though I'm having my protein shake, I'm still hungry. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the alt season that's about to come, we have a pump that actually exceeds expectations. And so right now I'm talking very muted. I'm talking about muted expectations. Muted expectations would be to take us right back up to the value area high of this range. But given the right circumstances, I wouldn't be surprised if, in the same way that this down move overshot the down to the downside in a way that no one really expected. Yeah, no one really expected that. I wouldn't be surprised if to the upside people are thinking, yeah, this is TRVL, it's going to be shit, and then without realizing it, it just pop, and suddenly you're in the high 50 cents. I wouldn't be surprised. And then people are like, oh my god, I could have become rich only if I had bought at 0.5 cent. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have no idea. But let me tell you, crypto is crazy. And you can't fade on these small projects which have real purpose and real meaning. You know, like when I was talking about DTravel yesterday, I was talking about the business case. I was talking about the fundamentals. I was talking about my own properties and how much earnings and bookings. And I was talking about the network and how it's growing. And now you combine that with potentially game-changing changes structurally, organizationally with DTravel. They haven't even announced it. So here I am telling you about announcements which haven't even been announced. So I feel like you're early. If you're watching me now, you're early. You're really early for the future. And let me tell you something. People don't realize this about me. I'm a little bit of a visionary. I like to think that I see the future, and I have seen DTravel as a multi-billion dollar decentralized application, which is governed and by its own well-established token economy. I've seen that. I can see it. We're not there yet, and so this is what we're doing. We're all working towards that future, because these are just building blocks for the future, and these is like pigeon steps in effect for the future. And so I am quite optimistic about the future, and I think everything that has happened for a reason to get us to this point. All of it is like character building, learning steps, but I think going forward I'm really highly optimistic. So don't fade on TRVL. What you can see is, since the video I made, people have been buying. Yeah, you can see that. You can see people have been buying. So I think my videos helped a little bit to stabilize the floor. And I now hope that people are going to just continue to buy. If they can, continue to buy. It's at a good place, isn't it? It's a really good place. Like 0.005 cents. I mean, you can't get a better discount right now on this token. Look, it's a shade underneath the A86. I mean, come on. You could, I mean, if you're hoping for lower, you what, hoping for another 10% discount? Yeah, that's TRVL. Any questions about TRVL, just kind of zap it to me under this stream, under this post. Come onto my channel, talk to me. If you like this video, if you like my videos, please like them. We need to get as much word out on TRVL. If you don't have any TRVL, buy some, and definitely come onto the Telegram and join their Telegram. I'm trying to kind of make TRVL active again. DTravel active. Not many people talking these days. I'm talking. Well, I was talking. So come on and say hi. We need to kind of make this channel really big again. Good afternoon, everyone. Just about TRVL soon. Gonna get this active again. That would be fun, wouldn't it? All right, that's enough TRVL. I've got 20 minutes left. Okay, I'm going to finish at 2 p.m. I've talked about Bitcoin. I've talked about TRVL. Let me have a look at Bitcoin dominance, because RH is asking me and I haven't really looked at it. Let's have a look at my chart. I haven't looked at this chart in months. Hey, Defage. Hey, thanks. I'm back. Yes. Yes, you did. Yes. Defage just say he picked up some more TRVL yesterday. Great prices. 100% agree. Yes, we need more of that. 100% agree. Yes. Absolutely. And like my videos on TRVL and share them, and let's build that community again. Let's do it. Why not? Let's do it. Let's do it. We can do it. Why not? Especially when it becomes a DAO, then basically TRVL holders are going to be owners of a decentralized application that's going to persist forever, really. And if you think of when you think about forever, I really think about forever being forever. Like, there's no reason for DTravel to ever stop, is there, in the future? Is there? Because you're talking about an application which is peer-to-peer, and people will always have properties to rent, won't they? So there's always going to be demand for this. And what we have to do in the future as a DAO is create the token economy that's sustainable, but also rewards travelers, hosts, operators, and investors. And once we do that, what happens is TRVL bottoms, and then it's gravy. It's all the way up forever, really. So I'm not saying this is the bottom. I have no idea. I have an idea, but I can't, like, not financial advice, but I do want to say that if this is the bottom at 0.0055, and if after this it's only up, then you've literally just made the best investment of your life. Literally the best investment of your whole life. Yeah, because honestly, I see DTravel TRVL as a unicorn, as a $1 billion application in the future, because it's a real world application. And you know, when you go up to like back to the all-time high from where we are currently, we get to the all-time high from where we are, that's a 28,000% increase in value. That means for every $1,000 you've made $28,000. Yeah, how amazing is that? That's crazy. That's a crazy increase in value. All right, I've got short time, so that's TRVL. Quickly